You're now watching This AFC South Show, brought to you by Curtis Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelle, and Jeff Steckel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This AFC South Show, episode 66. I am your host, Curtis Brown. With me, as always, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelle, and Jeff Steckel. We are all representatives, fans of the respective AFC South teams. So trust me when I say if your team is in the South, you found the right place. I'd like to go ahead and shout out Sports Sneak, the YouTube channel. They had me on and we talked Texans football. Lovely Canadian guy, absolutely a lot of fun, and I think you're going to have fun watching it. I am overly optimistic about the Texans season, you could say. So go ahead, like and subscribe to their channel as well. While you're at it, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. Still in the hunt for 1K. God!
I thought you were blowing a hole in your chair over there, man.
Still in the hunt for 1K. And we're 892 away. So hit the button. But without any further ado, let's get into it. The ticker you're noticing at the bottom of the screen we've had for a couple weeks, that will be showing our picks for games coming up and some statistics for each of the AFC South teams, as well as information about when the next podcast can be expected and future guests. So always keep an eye out for the ticker. But with that, let's dive into the games. So Houston is coming off a bye. So's the Las Vegas Raiders, and they're playing in Las Vegas. This is a Raiders team that preseason was a lot of people's pick to make the playoffs. And so far, they and the Texans are one of the three remaining teams with one win. Obviously, I think these two teams are at very different ends of those spectrums. The Raiders have a lot of talent and are underperforming. And one could argue that the Texans, with their one win, might be overperforming. But even still, an interesting game to say the least. Both teams have a bruising running back who is playing better than expected. And it's going to be interesting to see which running game gets established first, honestly. Because I think there's potential here that this gets into an offensive shootout here, but I don't think Davis Mills is going to be necessarily the one lighting it up for the Texans. The Raiders do have a pretty stout run game, but they are averaging 4 yards per carry against them. And Dameon Pierce is averaging just over 4. So I think that's a good recipe there, but the Texans defense is bottom 3 against the run. 161 yards a game, I believe. We couldn't, if there's a run play, we can't. So, this game's interesting. I have the Texans winning, just because historically off of a bye, we do really well. And the Raiders are one of 3 teams, I think, to have not won following a bye week since 2017. And that's many different regimes. So we'll see how that goes. But guys, what you got?
I'm with you. I definitely think it's going to turn into a game where it's going to be won in the trenches with whoever gets the running game going, like you said. Josh Jacobs, pretty much just for fantasy perspective, I've got him on my team. He's been one of the top 10 running backs, and he's been absolutely good. And he's going against a pretty bad run defense. But I guess the same could be said against the Raiders. So we got Dameon Pierce going. He's a bruiser too. So it should turn into a run heavy game. But that would only open it up for Devontae Adams to me. So could go either way.
Yeah, and Adams will be covered by Stingley this week, and Stingley's actually done better than I thought. I'm pretty sure it's like a less than 50% completion percentage when you target him. The QBR is like 48 8% or something like that, and he's got an interception. So far in his early career, he's done pretty well. He's not, destroyed the game by any means, but I think he's done pretty well so far. We'll see if that matchup is something to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Blake, Isaiah?
I have Houston winning. I'm sorry. I just don't really trust them a whole lot this year. I think the Raiders are looking for a bounce back. Um, they're also coming off a bye week, so they're fresh. Uh, I did see that Hunter Renfrow is hurt again. He's been wildly inconsistent for this team, which is unfortunate. But Josh McDaniels, he loves his running backs. And whenever he was in New England, he was more of a running back by committee. But Josh Jacobs has been taking this team by storm, and he's been looking incredible. Running backs, they usually do better off breaks because, they're constantly usually the workhorse. And that's it. That's Josh Jacobs this year. I expect for him to come in well rested and just lighting up this Houston's defense. Derek Carr has been kind of iffy. However, Hollis has been pretty good for them. That's been a surprise. Darren Waller's been a major disappointment. Is he even playing this week? I know he's been hurt.
I know he's questionable. He's listed on the injury report as did not participate the last couple days.
Yes, I don't know what's going on with Darren Waller. And then Devontae, is he playing? Did he ever end up getting in trouble for that?
I think if he got suspended, it'd be later on.
Okay, yeah, because that whole thing was just weird. I don't know if it's a locker room thing. I know Josh McDaniels isn't the greatest leader in the world. I knew that was going to be kind of a mistake, him going to Oakland or Vegas. Sorry, I can never get that out of my mind. So going to the Raiders, it could be a locker room issue. Who knows? But I still think the talent-wise, I like the matchup for the Raiders. They're a fairly good offense whenever they can get going. Their defense worries me a little bit, but Houston's offense doesn't scare me. So I think the matchup, I'm going to have to go with Vegas.
I mean, look, I get you. But with Waller being potentially on the shelf and Renfro, that just leaves Devontae Adams and then Hollins, who has had inconsistent games, to say the least. He had a really good outing against Tennessee, but then next week I think
he
he was
looked like Jerry
targeted
Rice
7 times and didn't catch a pass. So I don't know what his deal is. And even when Derek Carr has seemed to look at Devontae Adams, the completion percentage is roughly 58%. And he's thrown some picks to him, throwing at him, as well as Waller, too. Waller is his biggest interception machine when he throws it in that general direction. So
Yeah, I think he's just trying to feed it to Devontae and feed it to Waller, that he's just making contested throws that he otherwise would not make unless it was for Waller or Devontae, guys that he really trusts. And I think Derek Carr just really just needs to clean up his game because this guy's a Pro Bowl quarterback and he's a good quarterback. People always sleep on Derek Carr, but I'm a big Derek Carr fan. And I think he just needs to clean up his game, play a little slower if that's what it takes, and then get those first downs because first downs make touchdowns.
Thanks. Isaiah?
I mean, the one big challenge for Houston this week is going to be not letting Davis Mills get dirty because, Max Crosby has looked really good this year. He's up there in the top 5 in pressures, if not top 3. Chandler Jones that went there. Chandler Jones. Always get those two mixed up. He hasn't exactly looked. I think so, actually, but they're both 6'12", 300 pounds. So, but no, those two. Even though Chandler Jones hasn't been insane this year, he's always a threat. No matter how good he's playing, he's always a threat. So I think if you can kind of take advantage of them being a little bit weaker up the middle. Their linebacker core, I probably couldn't name you a linebacker on their team right now, honestly. So if you can get Damon Pierce going between the tackles and kind of stay away from that, open up some, play action, some quick passing and everything, I think you could really get something going. I think a big thing is you need to keep the ball out of Derek Carr in that offense's hands because whether Derek Carr's been playing amazing or not this season, the weapons are still there. Devontae Adams is a touchdown threat no matter what distance. I think that you guys can get some good pressure on them and kind of stuff Jacobs up the middle, which I know run defense hasn't exactly been y'all's strong suit this year. I think that you could potentially put together a good game plan, move the ball on the ground with Pierce. It doesn't help that you have, your favorite running back at number 2, Rex Burkhead, So I mean, it's gonna be the Dameon Pierce show, and he might see 35 carries this game. So I mean, it's gonna be trying to keep Davis Mills clean with those two guys and getting Pierce started.
I was actually watching a Lovie Smith press conference, and he was asked a question about, is there like a certain number of touches that is almost too much for your starting running back?
No.
And he's like, look, minimum in our offense, we want our starting running back to have 25 carries. That's not touches, that's carries. So no, they're not even necessarily worried about having a running back too at this moment. They want to run a one running back system, which would be interesting to say the least, especially in today's committee approach around the league.
I mean, considering who they have, I would too.
I mean, yeah, but considering who they have, why would Rex Burkhead be the second? I just don't. Give me Royce Freeman.
He's no
Royce. Bring Scotty Phillips' injured ass. Like, come on. At least they got some youth.
Yeah, rest in peace, Scotty Phillips.
R.I.P. Scotty Phillips. I don't even know if he's playing anymore.
Probably not. You're a big supporter of Scotty Phillips.
He was like a smaller Dameon Pierce.
It's a smaller
in the
Derrick
preseason,
Henry.
And then never got a chance to touch the ball in the regular season. Played one game.
Just like a Russian doll of like running backs. It's like there's Derrick Henry, then there's like smaller Derrick Henry, Dameon Pierce, and there's smaller Dameon Pierce, and
yeah, basically. Yeah. Something to another thing to watch, and I'll wrap it up for the Texans. But something to watch is the offensive line of the Raiders versus the defensive line of the Texans. The Texans have gotten a lot of pressure this season with 11 sacks in total through 5 games. And they're going to be adding more bodies in the linebacker core that have not played. Christian Harris should be playing for the first time all season. And in theory, we're hoping that he's a better cover linebacker than Kamu Grugier-Hill. But I don't know. But the Raiders' offensive line has not been phenomenal this season. The tackles they're a lot better at run blocking than they are at pass blocking. So if you can keep them in passing situations, I think that's a situation that the Texans have the upper hand in. So if you can somehow get Pierce going early and then build the play action, I think that's the winning recipe, because you get the Raiders on basically attack mode on offense for the rest of the game, having to come from behind. But with that, let's move to the Jacksonville Jaguars playing a surprise good team in the New York Giants. Everybody kind of thought that the NFC East was a lesser division this year, and they're the only one with 3 teams with more than 4 wins. So, quite interesting to say the least. Isaiah, how are you feeling about it?
I feel like we're gonna do a good job. Trevor Lawrence took care of the ball last week. It was good to see. I don't think the Giants are as good as their record shows. I think they've had some weak matchups. The Panthers, they got beat by the Cowboys earlier this year with a backup quarterback. They barely, I wouldn't say barely beat Chicago, but 1-score game with Chicago, 1-score game with the Packers, who have also been dreadful. Really, they're just running through Saquon. Their top 2 wide receivers, Kenny Golladay and their first round pick last year, Kadarius Toney, have a combined 0 touchdowns, which is 1 less than their backup right tackle, Andrew Thomas, or starting right tackle, Andrew Thomas. If we have to make Daniel Jones beat us, that's what we have to do. We just need to run commit up the middle. Folorunso Fatukasi is supposed to be coming back this week. Plug up the middle. He's been one of the best D linemen in football when he's starting in terms of run shedding up the middle and stopping the run. We did a good job last week stopping the run, even though there were, of course, some guys hurt. So that definitely hurts the, run game for the Colts. But, kind of got back to more what we were doing earlier in the season. I don't think the Giants defense is that good, honestly. If we can do anything like we did last week with ETN and Robinson, and we need to give ETN more carries. He was averaging 8.2 on the ground last game. He's a big threat no matter what part of the field we're on. He can break loose and get big. I think Trevor continuing to not hold on to the ball, but take care of the ball. And I think a big part of that was, he's actually been able to run the ball. He's given the freedom to leave the pocket to run. It kind of seems like early in the year they were kind of holding him back, trying not to let him do that. But whenever he's given his devices and he can make things happen with his feet, I think that'll be a big key, and that's winning this game, because of course they're going to be so worried about stopping Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne and James Robinson and watching them that I think he might be able to do some damage on the ground this week. But I don't think the Giants are really that good. I think if we can stop Saquon and make Daniel Jones beat us, we have a really good chance to take this game this week. And our defense just needs to, I don't know what happened, but they need to start hitting home, dude. We haven't hit a quarterback in like 3 weeks. We need to start getting back there and putting some hits on them, and not after they throw the ball and getting unnecessary roughness calls. It's ridiculous. But that's really my plan there. Just run the ball, stop Saquon, and make Daniel Jones try and beat us, because I don't think he can.
Not a bad plan. It's kind of what I thought the Jaguars should do. Thibodeau's been back for the Giants, and I think he's been playing pretty well. That front seven for the Giants has been playing pretty well at times. And they've been able to get like key turnovers in every game that they've won late in the game. Things that have helped seal the deal. Like with the Ravens last week, I think the Ravens had just got the ball, and the Giants came up with a great play. I can't even remember how the hell it happened, but they came up with a good play, ended up getting the ball, and ended up taking the lead and scoring, and then just kind of running the clock out. So that's kind of been the story of their entire season so far. And the Jaguars have had a couple games where the turnovers are really the Achilles heel of the entire thing. So if that can happen, I think the Giants will end up winning. That's who I have winning. Blake or Jeff?
Yeah, I also have the Giants winning. Probably not by much, and that's mostly just if they get Saquon Barkley going, I think that's bad for the Jaguars. But the Giants have been interestingly surprising, to say the least. But yeah, if they get Saquon Barkley going, that's only going to be trouble for the Jaguars. But I don't have the Giants winning by much.
Okay.
Yeah, I also have the Giants winning. I expect this to be a low-scoring game. So what I've really seen from the Giants, I'm a little bit higher on their defense. From what I saw with that Ravens game, I mean, you can never really stop Lamar Jackson, but you can contain him. He did run the ball pretty well. The Giants' run defense is not very great, so I feel like if Jacksonville is going to win this game, as Isaiah has said many times, just run the damn ball. They're really going to have to do it. The Ravens averaged about 8 or 9 yards per carry against this Giants defense, so that's insane. So if you can get Etienne going, he averages like 6 yards a carry. The guy's been a beast. And James Robinson, he wasn't great last week, but he's due for a bounce back. I do expect this to be a low-scoring game. Daniel Jones does not scare me either. So I think the matchups are pretty even, but I do have to go with the Giants. Again, not by much. I can see this being like maybe a 17-13 game going to the Giants. I expect a lot of defense.
Yeah, I expect a lot of defense too.
Their number one wide receiver has 189 yards. I just noticed that.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they can't pass on. It's Saquon or bust. Like if Saquon goes out again this year, which is a huge, possibility, the Giants are going to crumble. Like if he goes out this week, they might win 7 games in the year total.
Yeah, Saquon is their second highest receiver with 155 on 21 catches. So yeah, it's the Saquon show, and Daniel Jones is just living in it.
Yeah, and that's probably going to get him re-signed as well.
It could, but they might still look at it and say, hey, those 5 touchdowns you threw this year, not going to cut it. I mean,
That's true.
But he's also taken 19 sacks, so I didn't mention that earlier, but I think that might be a good bounce-back game for this defensive line to, and so they know they need to hit home, but they really need to hit home.
Yeah, this Jags team's kind of been sputtering after what was a pretty spectacular start to the season.
I mean, 2 solid
streaks. The Washington was,
our longest win streak in a long time.
Yeah. 2 wins, 4 losses. You got to be consistent if that's one thing.
Hey, does that mean that they'll win the next 2?
Hopefully.
Maybe. Maybe they'll win 2 all year. That's probably more Jags territory.
Definitely not.
His soul just died right there.
Oh man!
All right.
We play the Broncos in our home stadium of Wembley Field over in London. So we're not losing that game. Come on.
Can I have a sidebar real quick?
Broncos country. Let's ride. Sorry.
Let's ride.
So since you're a Jags fan, like,
no,
are you ever gonna go to London and watch a game over there?
I'd love to eventually, whenever I have enough money to do that. I thought you were gonna ask if I'd be okay with us moving over there, but no. So
no, don't do that.
That was my thought.
No, so that's exactly where I thought you were going with that. No, I'd love to go with the game over there. I think it'd be cool to like win a ticket to go over there because they do giveaways every year. I think that'd be cooler because I don't want to drop $1,000 to go to the freaking UK. Who cares? Like they haven't been relevant since 1776. I don't care, but
took a big L that day.
I'd love to go though. I think it'd be cool to go to like but they're starting to play in like Germany and other places like that. I think it'd be cooler to go to Germany or something like that. But I'd love to go overseas and watch a game. I think it'd be cool, but also it'd be kind of dumb to leave the country to watch something I get 9 of every year here. So but it'd still be cool. It'd be a cool experience.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, you see people with like Eagles jerseys and like Chargers jerseys.
Everything
in there, yeah. Every jersey. You'll see like a Kobe Bryant jersey, number 8 or something.
Let's go, JJ's. Let's go. You remember that one? That was it from the draft.
So with that, let's seamlessly segue into the Titans and the Colts. Which one of you gentlemen wants to lead off?
We'll save the best team for last. We'll talk about the Titans last.
Come on.
Shots fired already.
Hey, we're first in division. I think whoever wins this game is winning the division, though.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, if the Colts lose, they're like what,
1.5 back,
1-3-1
in the division. That's rough.
Yeah, this is definitely a game they probably can't afford to lose. It is in Tennessee, but if they play the way that they did against Jacksonville and they come out passing that way, I know that Taylor's been a full participant. I know Hines has been, so hopefully they get their 1-2 backs back. I know Shaquille Leonard's been fully participating again. He's only played 2 quarters this season, so if he can come back and it back to full strength, that'll really help this defense. The defense has been pretty good. I mean, they just have to get after Tannehill and make Derrick Henry, just contain him. I don't know if you can actually stop him, but they've got to do their best just to limit him and not let up the big runs like they did against Jacksonville. If he starts to chug away like that, that becomes like the Titans game. If he's running like that, they're just going to keep doing it. So they've got to at least get in the backfield and limit Derrick Henry and put pressure on Tannehill. I think those are the 2 big things for the defense. But offense, they got to come out the same way they did against Jacksonville. They've got to come out up-tempo again. They've got to come out passing. But with Jonathan Taylor back, I think last time, what was his name? I can't remember his name. It just slipped my mind.
Deion Jackson.
Thank you, Deion Jackson. He only rushed like 12 times for 42 yards. I think if they have the game plan that they had with Jacksonville, it'll be a much different stat line. If they give him 15 to 20 carries, I think he should be able to go up over 100. They just got to get him going. He's kind of had a slow start, but a lot of that had to do with the offensive line. I think they've kind of solidified that, at least hopefully. But having him back and Hines in the passing game back, that'll be huge. I do see a big game for Taylor coming back from a 2-game injury. And I actually think Pierce had a pretty big breakout game against Denver. He was a little quiet against Jacksonville, except for the game winner. But I think he'll be even bigger against the Titans. I actually kind of a bold prediction, have him getting over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. And I do think the Colts will win. They have to.
He'll get 200 if he's lined up on Farley.
Yeah.
He might get 300.
He'll put up Jalen Hyatt numbers on.
I'm starting in fantasy. I hope so.
That Tennessee dude the other night that had like 6 catches and 5 touchdowns and 300 yards.
Yeah.
Man, I hope he does. I have him starting in fantasy.
I have him starting in fantasy. I'm starting every Colt receiver. And tight end.
Oh, Jesus.
Hopefully,
I do have Henry too, so I hope he gets a couple of touchdowns in there too. But that's the only time they score. That's it.
Henry can have 3 touchdowns, but they could still lose.
I hope so.
Blake, you got a rebuttal?
Yes, this one was hard for me to pick. I kind of wanted to lean toward the Colts because I think they're going to be a lot hungrier. They can't get swept. This would be 5 straight to the Titans, and that's never happened, unfortunately. So I do think they're going to come out hungry. Matt Ryan is getting more comfortable with his offense. Michael Pittman, he seems to look like Michael Pittman from last year. I think Alec Pierce he's looking pretty good. For a wide receiver, he can play some football. And I picked him up on fantasy team last week because I was desperate, and I was very angry at him. And I was just saying all types of slurs about white people and everything like that. And then he ended up getting a touchdown at the end. And I was happy for 2 reasons. One, I ended up getting like 13 points out of the guy who had basically nothing all game. And then number 2 is I picked the Colts to win in our Pick'em League. So it looked pretty grim for most of the day, and then they ended up winning. As far as the Titans, though, I think I went ahead and locked it in. So the ticker does say that I picked the Titans in this one. Mike Vrabel is historically very, very good off a bye, except for the divisional playoffs. Rest in peace. So I do think we're going to come in. We're getting semi-healthy. I say semi as in like we have I think 75 players on injured reserve or something crazy, just a round number. And we keep picking up guys off the practice squad. Like every other day, it's just like, all right, which practice squad edition are we going to get? We're doing bad for poaching people off the Jaguars practice squad for special teams aces.
So that's y'all sign.
Say what?
Who did y'all sign off our practice squad?
I don't remember his name. He's your special teams ace. I don't even know. He's a nobody. He'll probably be gone next week.
Probably.
But we are getting a Amani Hooker back, who's huge for us. Our secondary has just been god awful. He had some kind of crazy concussion because this concussion's kept him out a month. So I hope everything's okay. As long as Caleb Farley sees as little field as possible, I think things will be better. I think Derrick Henry is starting to get his own. He started off the first couple of weeks a little slow, but he always does. I was telling somebody I know, I was like, just don't even start on week 1 because it's going to be a waste of a pick. And he didn't really do it. I think he ended up getting a touchdown, so he kind of saved himself. But I think Derrick Henry's going to have a good game. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going to have a good game. For one, he's injured. And 2, he never does well against the Titans. Even last time we played each other a couple weeks ago, it was rough. But for the Titans to overcome their terrible defensive backs, the key to this victory is going to be your boy Jeff, Danico Autry. Every time he plays the Colts in that revenge game, he just goes off. And I expect him to have at least a sack. I think they're just going to bring everybody. Jeffrey Simmons always has a good game against Quentin Nelson. I think they're just going to storm him. The Titans staff, we know who Dennis Kelly is. So I know Dennis Kelly is a beast, and I miss him to death. But I think we're going to try to expose him as much as possible, even though it could be a revenge game for him playing in Nissan Stadium as his first start. Is his first start, right, for the Colts?
Yeah, I think he came off the bench in the last game, and he did well. So now it'll be his first start, I believe.
Yeah, it's very poetic for The Undertaker. And I'm very happy for him. I really am, just because I really love that guy. But, I mean, I hope he just gets completely just beat tomorrow or whenever this comes out, Sunday. So I'm indifferent about it, but I'm going to go with the Titans. At least, I'm 50-50, but since I'm a Titans fan, I'm going to go with the Titans. I'm not comfortable enough to bet on it, that's for sure. But I have to go with the Titans. I think the defensive line is just going to attack Matt Ryan and chase him around. It looks like Bud Dupree is going to play again, so that could be really huge for our pass rush. And as you know, Matt Ryan's a statue, so he's not outrunning those pass rushers.
That's true.
That's true.
Isaiah, you got a response?
Derrick Henry. We all know him. Everybody knows his. I love him. He's my favorite running back. So I'm a power back kind of guy. Yeah. Of course, ETN's kind of taking that role only because, not because he's a power back, but because he's a Jacksonville running back that can run the ball well and not get caught more than 10 yards down the field. And put him in the same situation, put Henry in the same situation ETN was in when he broke that 48-yard runoff. he's stiff arming that safety into an early grave and taking it to the house. I mean, he's one of those guys where, he's not going to get taken down by a DB when he gets to the second, third level. I mean, he's taking it to the house. The big thing is, they've got to get him in the backfield. They can't allow him to get past the line of scrimmage untouched. He needs to be at least an arm or something on him before he gets through the line of scrimmage, or he's going to just do what he's done every year. And like he used to do at Alabama with all the smaller guys, if he's untouched coming out of the backfield, he's going for 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30, 99 yards. It doesn't matter.
You know about that 99-yard run.
I do. I know it all too well. And 97, but who's counting? So, I mean, it's a big thing is, what Titans offense is going to show up this week, though, because there's been a couple of weeks where Henry didn't look so great. But, I mean, it's also because the offensive line has been, fresher than unripe fruit. I mean, it's just like you keep getting new people in there, you keep switching them out, you never know who's going to be on the field. But I think if they can limit turnovers in terms of the passing game and kind of get those guys going a little bit and let Derrick Henry do Derrick Henry things and give him enough of a hole to get through, I mean, it's going to be a tough game for the Colts. But I mean, another big thing though too is, I mean, the Titans secondary, having Hooker back will be great. But they've still been a little suspect, especially in the corner game. So I mean, will this be the game where the Colts can really get going? I mean, they got going against Jacksonville, but they completed 42 passes. I mean, this is a game where they could throw 35, 40 times and complete most of them and have a really good day in the air without having to throw the extra mile. I mean, but of course they have to look out. The Colts offensive line did look better, but against an ailing Jacksonville defensive front, Titans have always had a good defensive front. And like you said, Danico Autry's coming back in there, and he always plays well against them. So, keeping Ryan clean, they showed last week that when you keep him clean, he can move the ball and limit turnovers. But I have the Titans winning, mainly because, Derrick Henry's going to do Derrick Henry things, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep Matt Ryan clean. But it could very easily go either way, especially in a division game like this. I think it's all going to come down to how well the Colts pass and if the Titans can get Derrick Henry going.
I do appreciate how you always pick the Titans. I've been noticing that you've been picking the Titans a lot, and I love it.
Derrick Henry.
It's hard to bet against that guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I'm going to have to agree with Jeff on this one. I think the Colts have a really solid chance to win. I don't know if I actually chose them or not in the pick'ems, but if I didn't, I'm gonna change it. I don't know. It's just a really good matchup, as he mentioned. This is a must-win game for Indianapolis. I think this is kind of all the right elements. As you mentioned, Blake, if they win, it'll be 5 games in a row?
Yeah,
6 games.
5 games.
Not good things for Indianapolis if they lose. So I think they have to get things going. I think Frank Reich probably had a stern talking to at some point, and they've been able to right the ship. I don't know. I just imagine Irsay came down drunk with a guitar and was like, "Frank, I want to play you a song. You tell me when to stop, all right?" But yeah, I don't know. I just have a general vibe that the Titans have a good edge here, or that the Colts have a good edge here over the Titans, with a lot more on the line and at stake for the season at large. The Colts have played the vast majority of their division games already, so I mean their last game is against Houston. So I mean they're really not going to have a much better opportunity to better their standings in the division than right now.
Sure, and I know when they came into the season, Irsay's like the biggest deal that he made was beat the Titans. Like he's sick and tired of losing to the Titans. I'm honestly surprised that after they lost at home to the Titans, that heads didn't roll after that one. He is tired of losing to them, and that was spoken in the media. It had to be told to Reich and losing in Tennessee with how they're standing in the division right now, I don't think will be kind of an acceptable thing to him. I expect the Colts to come out and kind of make a bigger statement, and I'm actually thinking that they might even win it by 2 scores, but because Irsay is tired of losing to him.
Just needs to come down and bring the guitar, bottle of whiskey.
Sweet melody for him.
Start bringing the Jim Irsay band and just like, boys, if y'all don't play well this Sunday, well, I'm gonna kill you.
or he'll play it at every practice until they start getting shit right, just as a punishment.
Oh God, it's just like his genuine attempt at a good song, and it's just terrible. All right, well, I think we're getting close to the end, folks. So we have any closing comments from anyone? Let's ride, obviously.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Blake?
Hopefully we get the sweep. Hopefully we come on this Monday show and I'm smiling and happy and sitting at first in division still. That's what my goal is. I just really hope we sweep them. It'll just make me feel so happy.
Oh, good in my tum-tum.
It really will. It'll just brighten my day. I'll go into work on Monday just smiling.
I mean, I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be a good game, regardless, for me.
So are you gonna be wearing a Texans jersey? What's going on?
I was actually gonna talk to you about that. So I think I'm gonna wear a Titans jersey just so I don't get hassled. Yeah. Look, I don't want any hassles. Anytime the only Texans jersey I'm gonna wear there would be an Andre Johnson jersey, and everybody's gonna be like, "You're not even at the right game."
Right. Every single NFL game has one of every single fan at least.
I know. I hate those people.
Yeah, you can wear whatever jersey you want.
I'm not doing that.
If I'm not a fan of the team, I'm not wearing their garbage colors, dude. I don't care.
I'll be wearing this. The AFC South show will be repped more than anything.
You should wear that. That's what I would wear.
Yeah. We need to get some sort of like contract or something and start getting jerseys put out. That way, like if you go to like a neutral site where you're not a fan of either, we can just wear the AFC South show gear.
Hell yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Check the merch link in the description. Anyway, like I said, coming close to the end here, so I think the Texans just need to come out and actually prove that the offense has 11 players on the field rather than just Dameon Pierce and the couple linemen. Davis Mills is playing for his career right now, and he's not playing very well. I hope. I really need it to happen. I don't know. I don't necessarily have like all of the hope in Mills, but I have a little bit of hope in Mills. But all right, that's gonna do it for today's episode. We are still in the hunt for 1,000, so go ahead, smash the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell. That way, anything comes out, you'll be the first to know. Blake, Isaiah, Jeff, thanks for joining me, brothers, family, cousins. I don't know.
Plural.
The pluralities. Folks, be good people.